All right, guys, you see him there on the screen. This is producer, director extraordinaire on the Foul Territory Network, host of Pinstripe Territory, someone I really enjoy watching here on this YouTube machine. That is Mr. Derek Levandowski. And if I was more prepared, I would have had the button ready for you to give you the clap. But listen. First, thanks for coming on. Thanks for helping me try to answer this question about Juan Soto. But first, I got to ask you, Dodgers fan, Yankees fan, how has the offseason been treating you in the wake of this World Series?
I tell you what, I feel like you ever see Rocky 2 where Rocky just feels defeated and he doesn't want to train and he doesn't want to do anything? That's how I felt for about the first month. That's for maybe the first couple of weeks. I just felt lethargic. I didn't want to do anything. I was depressed. I was sad. I can't believe Judge dropped that ball. I can't believe we didn't cover first base. What's going on here? I can't believe Freeman walked us off in game one. And then I started to come out of it. Once we start talking next year, start talking future, it's like, okay, turn the page. It's a whole new season. Now we got to fight Ivan Drago. It's time to fight. It's time to, it's time to get back in the gym. That type of thing. So, I've been dealing with it. I've been playing some MLB The Show and living out my championship dreams that way.
Yeah, it's get up, Rock. Come on. Yeah, I understand that. Trust.
I ain't no bell.
And after
son of a bitch.
And after the last couple of off seasons for Dodgers fans, I mean, early off seasons, at least Yankees made it to the World Series. They've been good. They've been struggling at different times. They should have been better. You have some foundational pieces there, but also, hey, Yanks missing a big piece right now out in free agency. We don't need to pussyfoot around this. We know the reason I brought you here. We got to talk Juan Soto. I'll set the stage a little bit here. We understand, $600 million, north of $600 million is the report, possibly 12 years longer, assumed opt-outs after 3 or 4 years. Yankees in the mix, Mets in the mix, Boston, Blue Jays in the mix, Dodgers also remain in the mix, and they're all figured to be in the mix according to multiple reports. For Dodgers fans, there's this narrative that's grown, and we were talking just a second before hitting the record button here. There's this narrative that has grown since fans were chanting future Dodger to Juan Soto at the 2022 All-Star game at Dodger Stadium. They hate him. There's a lot of fans that hate Juan Soto. They don't want to see Juan Soto in a Dodger uniform. They think he's some sort of clubhouse poison, clubhouse cancer, that he'll ruin the team in this great era, the Shohei Ohtani era, where they're supposed to go out and win 150 World Series and all that. We saw Tommy Kahnle today on Foul tell the guys, like, look, he's a great guy. He's awesome, great clubhouse guy, blew me away, great teammate, great player. Yeah, you're probably going to say that, especially when your team is trying to bring him back. I need to know, listen, you covered this team, covered the Yankees all season long so well as you do there on Pinstripe Territory, formerly New York Yankees or NYY Recap. Give me some insight. What's your taste? Bad phrasing of Juan Soto, the player, the person in the clubhouse.
Sure.
And I can understand too, like even after that loss, like he has to switch on his Scott Boras cap a little bit. Some of the things he had in his post game scrum with media, not to I want to focus right now. No, we're already looking forward to the off season, looking forward to free agency. But yeah, I want some taste, some thoughts here on Juan Soto.
So let me start by saying the New York media is always looking for conflict within any of the clubhouses of any of the New York teams. You talk about the rivalry between Gehrig and Ruth going back that far, and then Mantle and Maris in the 61 season where they're both chasing down Ruth's record. And then it was, Reggie and Thurman in the 70s. And then, Jeter and A-Rod. And usually where there's some smoke, there's some fire. You find out that, there were a lot of rivalries at times between these guys. You saw none of that this year with Judge and Soto. Apparently, there's been rumors that there was something between, Soto and, Tatis or Machado, but it seems like that was kind of overblown because all I saw from Juan Soto was a great teammate. Every time the camera would pan to him in the dugout, he was smiling and laughing with somebody. And, he's a guy as a player who, we know what he is offensively. He's an amazing offensive talent. He's got a great arm in right field. The only chinks in his armor are that he thinks he's faster than he is, so that leads to a lot of times getting thrown. I had the same problem. I was slow, but I was like, man, but he would get thrown out a lot on the bases, stupidly. And then also, he's not a great defender, especially going back on the ball. I thought the Yankees really missed out by not playing him deeper. They would have him played kind of shallow to maximize his throwing arm. You know, he threw a lot of guys out at second, a lot of guys out at home, but he's not good at going back on the ball. It led to some triples. You know, we saw one in the World Series. So while he's a great player and a great teammate, I've been hung up all winter about whether or not it's really in the Yankees' best interest to spend $600 million on this guy when you got so many other big contracts. So while I'm rooting for the Yankees to sign him, you know, it'll be great for me. It'll be great for my show. It'll be it'll be very fun next year to award him player of the game 40 times or so. But if they lose him, I think there's a chance that the Yankees could reassemble an even better team by spreading some money around, by going to get a Max Fried and maybe, you know, somebody else. But make no mistake, he is an excellent player and an excellent clubhouse guy. I didn't see any hint of, you know, a cocky attitude. Mm-hmm. You know, some guys don't handle the New York media well. Whenever he had a bad game, which was rare, he would own up to it. He would stand in front of his locker and take the questions. He was never ducking out. He wasn't one of these guys who posts stupid stuff on social media. He posts pictures of like his gaming setup. Like he's a gamer. He's not going to go out. He's not Doc Gooden going out and doing blow at 3 a.m. in Queens. He's not that guy, right? He's a kid who's into gaming and hitting baseballs. And there's really not a lot to that. And keep in mind, 26 years old. Clint, who were you at 26 years old? Were you a finished product? I know I wasn't.
Absolutely not. I was a bad man at 26.
He's going to grow as a human being, and I think a lot of the decision that he's making right now is who does he want to grow with? What organization does he want to be a part of his legacy? Because you have to think in terms of more than just your salary when you're talking about your next 15 years of your career, right? Yeah. You have to consider, where do I want to raise my family? Where do I, you know, what are the tax situations like? What's my distance like to the ballpark? Do I have to, you know, drive from Connecticut to get to, you know, or can I live in, you know, the suburbs of Toronto and have a 5-minute walk to the stadium? That type of thing. So there's a lot to consider.
A quick pause here to tell you about Bet Online. It continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the football to the NBAs to the college basketballs, NHL, UFC, it's got it all. Head to Bet Online today. Don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here, and let's get back into it. With the Dodgers, listen, you can be 5 minutes away. It's still going to be 30 minutes away because of traffic. We know the Dodgers figured out also how to just get rid of the whole tax situation with signing bonuses and deferrals and all of that. But yeah, that's the main thing I want to know. And we know the talent is there, and everything we've heard since that World Series about the Yankees, everybody knew. You just had to wait for them to kind of, as Chris Taylor said, you know, shit down their own leg. I've been trying to tell people who complain about the defense and all of that, Juan Soto will be a better player. He'll be a better defensive player. The StatCast numbers will go from the deepest blues to maybe a nice, very soft red if he's in Dodger blue, because of how they set their players up for success on the field. There's coaches there that tell them, hey, maybe you should go here. Here's a little card. You should stand here. This is where this player hits, and this is how this pitcher is going to try to pitch to him, all that. He would be a better player in Dodger blue. But going back to another thing you said, this is where I feel people are trying to talk themselves out of like Juan Soto, or maybe trying not to get hurt. Like, you know, I'm if I, you know, ask this girl out and she rejects me, whatever, she was a bitch anyways, you know, it's like
preemptive cope.
It's preemptive copium for sure right there. And you could say, the team is a lot better reallocating those assets other places. We know the Yankees need a first baseman, probably need a 3B. We'll need an outfielder if Juan Soto doesn't return, need some pitching help. And $600 million over 12 years or whatever can help, fill a lot of those cracks. And the same with Dodgers fans, like 600 on top of a $700 million deal and a 325. And there's a lot of money going around. And, we love to say it's not our money and this team prints money or whatever. But at some point, something's going to break, something's going to give, and it's going to be a problem having all of those pieces. And then, the guy in his late 30s still trying to play either, at that point, DH or whatever the hell it is. I think Juan Soto can hit late into his 30s, but when you're talking about him defensively and on the base paths and then whatever, like those are things you can quantify. Yeah. You could look at the StatCast, you could try to get him better on those, but it's the Clubhouse thing. I want people to understand we're making up this narrative. Yeah, you're making up this narrative because he wore a Padres uniform for a year and a half. I think that's what it is. And the stink of Manny Machado, Jurickson Profar, Fernando Tatis. I think that's what Dodgers fans are really, really, sinking their claws into and holding on to. At least the fans that don't want Soto. The sentiment. Again, he lacks class. Yeah. He lacks character. You say no. You poo-poo on that.
He's a really great kid. He's a smart kid. When Scott Boras, and a lot of what comes out of Scott Boris's mouth is BS. When Scott Boras talked about him, he said he's a really methodical thinker, and I agree with that 100%. You can see it in his at-bats. He's going up there with a plan, and he's thinking through every pitch. He's playing chess up there, and I don't think you can be like that as a player without being like that as a person, right? It's like you can't just get on the field and just magically have a super high baseball IQ. And in terms of the other facets of his game, he gets compared to Ted Williams because he was a great hitter. And Kratz had a great point today on Foul Territory. He said, Ted Williams wrote a book on hitting called The Science of Hitting. He didn't write anything about fielding, and nobody cares. You get Ted Williams because he can hit. You get Juan Soto because he's a generational bat. And I'll tell you what, if you guys get him, you're going to really enjoy those mini battles. Those go back and watch the at bat that won the Yankees the pennant against the Guardians. Against it was Tanner Bybee, I believe, was pitching. And it was an 8-pitch at bat, maybe 7 pitches. And you could see that Soto was trying to get him to throw the high fastball. He was like, I'm gonna spit on anything that's down low because it's gonna be breaking, or I'm gonna hit it on the ground. Anything that was up, if it wasn't up enough, he was almost intentionally swinging late just to spoil it. And he wanted that pitch right here. He said, I'm going to get under it. I'm going to put backspin on it. And you could see him. You could see this unfolding in his mind. And I must have watched that at bat 10 times this offseason in its entirety. And it's one of the most professional at bats I've ever seen. And like I said, kid's all smiles. He's not going to be out partying with strippers. Yeah. He's a good kid. He's a kid. He's a kid. Hey. That's the most important thing. He's a kid.
He's but a young boy, been in this league since he was 18, grown up in this league, and he's had a lot of good veterans around him. Second year, first full season, won a World Series. It was a pretty good Yankees team. That was a long time ago. Nationals team that won that World Series in 2019. But that's all he's done is kind of grow. If anything, maybe a little bit of a hiccup with the Padres, just because there's a lot of we'll say questionable things the Padres like to do when you're just trying to go out there and play a baseball game. It's fun for baseball. I love seeing how much baseball has grown in San Diego. But yeah, it's also annoying, and I think people see the Soto shuffle and all of this stuff, which it feels to me like he's reduced that a whole lot. He doesn't do it as much.
Yeah, he'll do it in a big spot.
Little gamesmanship.
Yeah, a little bit. Can I chime in on the Padres thing too? Because
absolutely.
I mean, I share with you in I think the assessment that the Padres are not good guys. Like we know who Manny Machado is. Like we've always known who Manny Machado is. When he was a free agent, the big hang up with some teams was who Manny Machado is. Yeah. We know who Tatis is. He's not the brightest bulb, in the light aisle at Lowe's. He's
sharpest ball in the shed. I get you.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are they've had their issues on and off the field. It shouldn't surprise anybody when they do classless things on the field, especially when it's been documented that it's been done before. In Machado's case, I think Soto didn't get along with those guys because he's, quite frankly, a different type of person. He's a professional. Like, you don't get to the big leagues at 18 and have the kind of success he's had without being just the consummate professional in every way that you can. Like, his mind is built different. He's Michael Jordan, okay? He's Tom Brady. He's you're looking at Machado, he's more like our Dennis Rodman, right? Great player, but a little bit of a shady dude, right? So that's just my opinion. Feel free to edit that out or cut it. But
no, I love that. I think for Dodgers fans, that will really play up more as well, because that's a great way of listen, this isn't the whole reason I wanted you here is you're as far away from us as you can be. You are in New York. You are we'll just say East Coast. I don't want to dox you here. You are East Coast. You're probably, I mean, not you. You're crazy like all of us people on YouTube. You're up late. You're probably watching this shit as well. But still, you should be in bed while we're still playing baseball and all this. But still, the antics. You see the BS. And yeah, you saw a lot of Manny Machado in his younger years in Baltimore, making himself a low light reel with dumb shit. That's what he does. I said I wasn't going to keep you very long. I got two things for you. Where is your gut saying Soto will end up again? We got Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Blue Jays, who we know the Blue Jays, they very much, they have some money left after Shohei was not on that plane. They have some money that they really, really want to spend. But yeah, all those teams in, Red Sox apparently in. Where do you think he ends up?
My gut tells me
taking off the Yankee camp. Yeah.
Yeah, my gut tells me the Mets. Look, I know that the Rogers family has all this money to throw at him. I just don't think he wants to play in Canada. I just don't think you can be the type of icon that he wants to be in Canada. I think that he wants to be as a part of the biggest Dominican population in America, which is New York City. They have over 700,000 Dominicans. I think that while he enjoyed his time with Judge and with the Yankees and the run that they had, I think he kind of wants to be the face of the franchise, right? Yeah. And when you consider that, along with the fact that Cohen's going to throw him an enormous payday, I think he's just going to go to the Mets. I've heard a few times over the past few years before he ever came to the Yankees that his favorite park to hit in was Citi Field and that he grew up watching the Mets. So I don't know how true either of those things are. He obviously didn't talk about that this year because he didn't want to set expectations or anything like that. The only thing that could potentially, I think, change things is if the Dodgers offer enough, because you'd be joining pretty much a World Series ready, like, dynasty, right? I mean, it would be like Durant to the, whoever. I don't follow basketball, but like
that one team, yeah. Hey, well, we can go even older. We could say like LeBron going to the Heat or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
That place, taking his talent to South Beach, and Juan Soto very much could be taking his talents to Citi Field. Listen, I've maintained it all off season long, which is just a little over a month old. Steve Cohen's not going to be outbid in this, and it would be fun. I think just for baseball, it would be fun to see the Mets get better, continue to get better, having Soto alongside Francisco Lindor. That's a pretty dynamic 1-2 punch. And then whatever they end up doing with the rest of it, because, we know Polar Bear is still a free agent. They need a good bit more pitching help and all that kind of stuff. Maybe, you guys on the East Coast should start doing that whole Dodger deferrals thing, and you'll feel a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know how the loopholes work or whatever, but I will say this for the Dodgers. They are being smart. I don't think it's an unfair thing. I don't think it should lead to a change in the game. I think if it's allowed, more teams should do it. Hell, George Steinbrenner invented that. When they said that players can change teams as free agents, a lot of guys were getting paid, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 if they're really good. Steinbrenner said, no, we're going to give Reggie Jackson and Catfish Hunter millions of dollars. And that began this whole thing. So it would be hypocritical of me as a Yankees fan and as a baseball fan to have an issue with that. And quite frankly, I want I like seeing super teams. Like, I want to see these historical things. I loved watching the 98 Bulls. I loved watching the 98 Yankees. Like, I want to see super teams. But I also I like to see super teams lose. So it'd be fun to knock them off.
Hey, you know what? That's funny. I want to see. I'm still mixed. I'm hit or miss. I'm 50-50 on Juan Soto. Yeah, you want to add the bat, but I still worry about the money and the commitment with all the other commitments in there. But I really just want to see the Dodgers sign Juan Soto to watch the baseball landscape burn on all the social
that would
medias.
be a nuke.
John Heyman literally might actively cry on Bleacher Report. I don't know.
It would be like that scene in Terminator 2 where just LA just evaporates. Just Sarah Connor's up against the fence. That's what you're gonna see. It's just the shock waves out of LA.
We should see something soon. Winter meetings this weekend. Derek Levandowski, that's at Pinstripe Derek. Guys, give him a subscribe here on the YouTube. Give him a follow on all of the platforms that he is on, which is, I'm assuming, all of them, because we have to whore ourselves out that way when we do this for a living. But appreciate the time, Derek.
Appreciate it. Take care, man.